most important 25 questions of Mr. Chips. 1. Who was Mr. Weatherby? Or what kind of person was Mr. Weatherby? Answer. Mr. Weatherby was the headmaster of Brookfield. He was very fatherly and courteous toward Mr. Chips. Weatherby also advised Chips to take a firm attitude in the matter of discipline. 2. Who was Meldrum? When and how did Meldrum die? When Mr. Chips became acting head at Brookfield? Answer. Meldrum was the headmaster of Brookfield. He was very kind and courteous. He held the office for 30 years. In 1900 he died suddenly from pneumonia and Chips became the acting head of Brookfield. Who was Chatteris? Or who was the successor of Ralston? Answer. Chatteris was the headmaster in Brookfield. He was a successor of Ralston. He was the young man of 34. He was a science graduate, friendly and sympathetic. 4. Who was made the head of Brookfield after Chips' retirement? Answer. Cartwright was made head of Brookfield in 1919 after Chips' retirement. He was a kind-hearted man. He was with Chips before his death. 5. Who was Marvel? Or what did Mr. Marvel say about Mr. Chips' health? Answer. Dr. Merivale was the family doctor of Chips. He used to visit Mr. Chips every fortnight. According to him, there was nothing the matter with Mr. Chips. 6. Who was Mr. Wicket? Describe the character Mrs. Wicket. Answer. Mrs. Vicky had been in charge of line room at Brookfield. She was also the landlady of Mr. Chips. She rented a room to Mr. Chips after he retired from school. 7. How did Katherine Bridge look? What was her profession? Answer. Katherine Bridge was 25-year-old. She had a sweet and attractive personality. She had smooth straw-colored hair, blue flashing eyes, and freckled cheeks. She was a governess out of job. 8. When and how did Katherine Bridge die? Answer. On the 1st of April 1898, Katherine Bridge died while giving birth to a baby. It was a great shock for Chips. He wished he had died like her. 9. Who was Sir John River? Answer. Sir John River was the chairman of governors. He was also a student of Chips. He favored Chips because he thought that Chips was justified in his row with Ralston. 10. Who was Major Collingwood? Describe the character of Major Collingwood. Answer. Collingwood was the student of Mr. Chips who was punished by Chips for climbing on the gymnasium roof to get a ball out of a gutter. He was killed in Egypt during the war. 11. Who was Barrow and why did Chips call him to stink merchant? Answer. Barrow the pale, lean and medically unfit science master. What nickname stink merchant? Chips regarded scientists as stink merchant because they invent new kind of mischief bombs in their laboratory. 12. How did Mr. Chip measure his time when he lived at Mrs. Wicket's house? Answer. Mr. Chips, like some old sea captain, measured his time by the signals of the past. He did not follow Greenwich time. He turned his life according to the bells of Brookfield. 13. How did Master Chief depreciate himself before his marriage? Answer. Mr. Chips depreciate himself before Katherine by telling her about his mediocre degree, his difficulties in discipline, the certainty of no promotion, and his ineligibility to marry a young and ambitious girl. 14. What changes did Katherine bring in Chips after marriage? Answer. Mr. Chips married with Katherine Bridge in London in 1896 when he was 50. His marriage brought many good changes in his life. He became disciplined, affectionate and good fellow. His wife made him a new man. On the whole, his marriage was successful. 15. What was the row between Ralston and Chips? What allegations did Ralston put on Chips? Answer. Chips had never liked Ralston. Similarly, Ralston considered the Chips' method of teaching was slack and old. He also blamed that Chips had been ignoring his instructions in the past. Ralston ordered Chips to resign, which was refused by Chips. This issue caused Ralston and Chips into a row. 16. Where did Mr. Chips live after his retirement? Mr. Chips lived at Mrs. Wickett's house after he retired from Brookfield. Mrs. Wickett's house was just across the road from Brookfield. He had been living there for more than a decade. 17. When did the Brookfield established? Or what was the status of Brookfield? Brookfield was an old foundation. It was established in the region of Elizabeth, as a grammar school. It was a good school of second rank. 18. What kind of people did Brookfield produce? Brookfield produced a fair number of important men, like judges, member of parliament, colonial administrator, a few peers, and bishops. Mostly it turned out merchants, manufacturers, and professional men. When did Mr. Chips retire? What was he presented with? Mr. Chief died in 1913. When he turned 65, he was present with the check, a writing desk and a clock.